The Taliban, the leading terrorist organization in Afghanistan, just struck a heavy attack on one of the prisons of this country. I'm talking about the Afghan city of Ghazni, where a group of armed gunmen and 3 different suicide bombers and also a bomb car came into the prison, blew up the access nick, and released almost 400 prisoners, all the prisoners in this jail. The critical part is that 150 of these prisoners were actually high-ranking Taliban officials that were at this prison, and now they're at large, probably reorganizing. Now, what is very important to remember is that ISIS began exactly the same way, out of a prison break, where a group of Al-Qaeda defectors organized in a new organization called ISIS. And now we see it happening in Afghanistan again, in a place where we kind of forgot about Afghanistan a little bit.
And there is this bit of a power vacuum. I know we're still there a little bit, but there is still a power vacuum. You can't deny that. But I do want to say, like you said, splintering off. You're talking about ISIS, for example. This was one faction of the Taliban. The Taliban has been splintering away into separate factions. We know that just recently we heard Mullah Omar, their leader, had just been killed. Actually, no, he didn't. He was killed in 2013. They were keeping it wrapped. So there were some in the Taliban who felt it was a good idea to keep it under wraps. There was others who didn't want that to happen. So again, that caused this splintering into different factions, and that's what we're seeing here. One of those factions doing a strike, reminiscent of the one that formed ISIS. Now, this is a very premeditated thing. I mean, they came in fully clothed in these Afghan security uniforms. They really knew what they were doing. The question is, did anybody know it was coming? This seemed like it was very well planned. Was there any hints or anything?
And there was. I'm glad that you asked that question, because it's very important to know also that the security guards and the heads of the prison leading up to this attack actually transported 18 of the top most dangerous terrorists that were holding that cell because they knew about this strike. And it makes me wonder if we put them two and two together and we see that these terrorists came in with the Afghani security force uniforms, and there was already a doubt that it will happen so big that they actually move people out of it. It makes me feel like the U.S. interests or the Western interests are lost in this mess, and now we are starting to see that the influence of those terrorists and the mujahideen that are in this area are starting to push into the institutions, and now we see that suddenly it's very easy for someone to come and liberate 150 of the top-ranking officials of the Taliban with that ease, that there's no reinforcement. Let's just take this 18 away and let's not send reinforcement to protect the prison. Let's just let it happen. Very suspicious, but also it highlights a question that many have out there, is the timing of our departure from Afghanistan. If it was ill-advised, we did it at the right time, because now we see that very easily the Taliban is kind of pulling rank together and creating these attacks that might evolve into something more dangerous.
Right. I mean, we see the same thing not just in Afghanistan, Iraq, for example. Even some will say Syria, Libya. Yemen. We're always quick. Yeah, we're quick to kind of be the liberators and put it on blast and let everybody know that the Americans are here to save the Iraqis. For example, we saw time and time again the video of them pulling down that statue. But then when ISIS starts to form, and the U.S. sees this happening, and they see that potentially as an asset to help get the Syrian regime out, for example, you don't talk about that anymore, right? We don't see images from Libya anymore, but we were showing a lot of images when we were getting Gaddafi out of there. But we tend to do our thing. When everything goes to shit, we're kind of stepping back and saying, not our problem anymore. Yeah,
let's remember that the Taliban is fighting to take out the President Ashraf Ghani that is U.S.-backed, and they're trying hard to bring back a very, very strict interpretation of the Sharia law and the Islamic law. So this is of a great relevance. We want to know your thoughts on this story. Please share them below in the comment section. And if you haven't, please subscribe to the Lib TV.